Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Sprites of Life podcast. I'm Lucas.
I'm Chris.
And I'm other Chris.
We're multiplying.
He cloned himself, not again.
All the
Why?
science is paying off.
Okay, John goes off to do fishing stuff for like a week, and you clone yourself.
Yeah, I cloned myself into someone who knows a lot more about bugs.
So an improvement?
I would say so.
Agreed. Seconded.
Okay. Other Chris, who are you before the fans get wise that this isn't exactly a bit?
Awesome. Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Dr. Christopher Hayes. You can just call me Dr. Chris or other Chris, I guess, as it is here. And I am an urban entomologist at NC State University in Raleigh, North Carolina.
So if you're here, Chris Prime, I'm going to assume that we are not doing another Digimon episode today, are we?
No, this is not Digimon. We are going back to
Oh.
our old reliable well of Pokemon because I met Chris and I thought that he could speak to some of the weirder mons that we don't really ever get to shine a light on. Some of those weird, creepy bug ones.
It's true. I mean, there are plenty of bug Pokemon. We've talked about them in the past, but there are some that don't quite fit a niche. And I have at least one Pokemon I have an axe to grind with. Anyone who knows me well enough will know which one it is. But, no, I'm just going to call you Doc instead of other Chris because it feels demeaning. Is that okay?
That is okay with me. And I think everyone has an axe to grind against some bug at some point in their life.
Okay, no, real bugs I'm usually cool with. It's one bug Pokemon. It's one specific one that it galls me, sir. It galls me. So really quickly, we got a little bit of science news here, and I want both of your thoughts on if I said a killer whale found a new way to use an object, what would you assume they were using that object for?
Killing things.
Yeah, killing things.
That was my assumption too. They got the name for a reason. They literally pick on sperm whales and great white sharks. But apparently, there's a population that is in the northern Pacific, and they recently discovered that they had found a way to use kelp to exfoliate themselves.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no, I'm dead serious. They're literally out. These scientists were going out right. There's a body of water that's between Vancouver Island and the United States, and they were observing this population of orcas, and they found that these orcas were going up and grabbing the bull kelp. They were just taking it and rubbing it up against other orcas they liked. The weird thing is we've been studying this particular population. Some papers and put it at like 5 decades of research on this specific population, and
Wow.
this is the first time we've seen it. And it's still it's incredible that they would actually figure this out. Exfoliation is not something you think of when it comes to tool users, but then again, there are plenty of animals that have learned to rub stuff on skin in order to make things better. It's just very interesting. The orcas not only do it, but also do it for others as well.
So I got two questions, Lucas.
Yes.
One, have orcas been known to do like, I will call them favors, but like interact with other members of their species in this way before?
Orcas are dolphins. Dolphins have shown the capability to hang out and interact with others. They are one of the most social creatures in the ocean. And so they will show, well, maybe and I wouldn't call it altruism, but they will hang out with each other and they will do things with each other. Case in point, when orcas are together, you're not always going to be there watching your kid. And so some of the other orcas might be watching out for your kid. So they do babysitting roles. Something really
Okay.
Oh,
cool.
fascinating.
Yes, so whales and specifically dolphins you get a lot of bad rap about them on the internet, and I've been one to talk about all the bad stuff that dolphins can do. But on the same hand, you also have to talk about that they do work as a community in many cases. And so the fact that they are doing this to help each other out or show affection, that's fine. That makes sense. But seeing this, what they call it as allo grooming, I mean, we've seen it in primates. We've just never seen it in like whales.
How did they know that they were exfoliating? I mean, how do you quantify exfoliation in a killer whale?
So they were observing the whales going up and grabbing the bull kelp, and then they would basically take it and just start rubbing it up against the other orcas. And the other orca wasn't like running away or snipping at them or being like, hey, back off. This was just something they saw them doing. And they saw, according to a 12 days they researched between April and July of 2024, blah, 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 reading the study here, a study of population. There it is. Recorded 30 bouts of a kelp massage between those 12 days that they were out. These were not like solid April through July. They were just out there. But like during 12 days that they picked between those months, they saw 30 bouts of kelp massage. So it's just something they picked up and did.
How much exfoliation do whales need? Or orcas?
Dolphins have some of the most sensitive skin of any like marine mammal. Like they have very sensitive skin. Have you ever been to like one of those Discovery Cove places that lets you like pet dolphins and all that
Yeah.
fun stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Every time you pet a dolphin, you're taking off a whole bunch of their skin. They're constantly shedding their skin all the time.
Okay. So they
And
need exfoliation a lot then.
oh yeah, they one of the things I've seen when dolphins get injured in rehab are third degree sunburns from beaching. So it's not
Oh
just
man.
you're out of the water, but like literally when you're exposed to the sun, they burn real bad. And so it's really important that they have a covering and that they stay hydrated. So having them exfoliate, I mean, the ocean's riddled with parasites and all kinds of things. So
Mhm.
having them like rub up against stuff is pretty helpful. And having someone do it for you is not only good for your health, but also closes more of those social bonds. It brings them together. And that's going to make them a more effective hunting team when they go out and slaughter great white sharks for fun.
W- Well, I for one am very excited for the next social evolution in orcas when we get orca influencers on kelp.
We
Yes.
already did
Yes.
that, actually. No, that already happened. There was a group of orcas that wore salmons on their heads as hats for fun for a while. And then one of them saw it and they all copied it. No, they already beat you to it.
That's so that's so brutal.
I mean, they were going to eat
Parading around the
salmon.
corpses of your kill.
They were going to eat it anyway. It's fine.
Oh, actually, real quick, Doc, we talked about a bug. I'm wondering if you've heard about it. Have you heard about the bone collector caterpillar?
Uh,
I have. I
Okay.
have. I
Yeah,
have.
we talked about that like a little bit ago. It's talking about parading around the body of
Yeah.
another animal.
Yeah, there's several insects actually that do similar things.
that's all I had on science. I did have a bit of gaming news, but Chris, I know you had something you wanted to gush about. How do y'all feel about like when game developers listen? Is that like a thing like that we're not used to anymore?
I mean, I think it's a good thing. It depends on what's being asked, but generally, if they're listening to the community that's playing the game, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
So
agreed. I think it increases the quality of the game and the connection with the developers.
neat because it's somehow Bungie listened, which we didn't think they would. Okay, so y'all have heard about Marathon, right?
And the train wreck that it
Yes.
was, yes.
Yeah, the train wreck that it still is until they can prove otherwise. But yeah, Marathon, extraction shooter, Bungie's big next thing. You name it, and something bad has happened to it. Art theft being accused, terrible streams. Things have not been going great for them. And so about a week ago or so, they basically said, you know what? Fine, we are putting it off indefinitely. Now, some sources claim that they're still going to try and release by the end of fiscal year of 2025, which is like March 2026 technically, in order to keep their investors up. But it's one of those things of like, I always will praise a game for taking time to try and stop and make things right. That's why I didn't complain when GTA got delayed for a year. It's like, no, 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 no. I want a good game. Even if I don't play shooters,
Yes.
I would like this to go well. So I feel like that deserved appropriate accomplishments. But Chris, you have
Mhm.
something on the tabletop type of gaming.
It's a crossover.
Oh boy.
So as has been of uh their ilk for the past few years, Magic the Gathering has been doing tons of crossovers, partnerships. I think we talked about the Assassin's Creed crossover not too long ago, but they just launched the Final Fantasy set crossover.
It's
And
incredible.
it's got some really cool arts, but I think the thing of note is that Magic came out in 93. It first launched August of 93. So this game has been out for 30 plus years. Before the Final Fantasy set actually released, it was the #1 selling set in Magic's history based off of pre-sales.
But it wasn't released. How?
All the
What?
pre-orders. It was a massive success for them. The set is, I think it's about the set spans all the Final Fantasy games. It's got all the major characters. So basically, if I know that there's Final Fantasy is one of those series where like some people like some of the games and not so much the other ones.
Yeah.
It's got like something for everybody in it. If you want to know what the thing that everyone's losing their minds about, though, it's
Is
the
it the
chocobo.
cactus?
It's the
Really? I
chocobos.
thought it was. Oh,
The
okay.
chocobos, really?
Yeah. So there are the chase cards. There's 5 variants of chocobos. I think it's like there's pink, green, black, blue, and gold. And the black one is of note because it's all in the only printing you can get of it is in Japanese. But
Mm.
the just general cards I think are selling for like the hundreds of dollars for like, base level card. But
Oh, not
the-
again.
there's a serialized golden chocobo. So there's only 77 of this one card. And one of them sold. This set is like barely a week old. One of these cards sold for $40,000.
Holy cow.
That's
Uh,
good money.
So I
That is good money.
I put it in that's the golden chocobo.
Oh, that's lovely.
It's
very
beautiful. I love
nice.
that.
Yeah. So it's an extremely popular set. And the thing about it too is that there are a lot of really good like good value cards. So like a lot of things that players do is there's like these collector chase boxes. So one of my friends got a collector's box and he pulled one card that was worth like $600 and he paid for all of his boxes by just selling that one card. So the set is extremely popular. It's got great commander cards. It's the #1 selling set, I'm assuming, until the Spider-Man set comes out in September.
Oh no, Spider-Man, I'm just gonna throw a prediction out, is going to stomp these sales. Like
Yeah.
easily. It's the Spider-Man is the #1 American hero in Japan and the #1 hero in the United States as far as like viewership and fan attention. Like Spider-Man is gonna crush him. Will we get a golden Spider-Man? Oh, which Spider-Man do you think should be the valuable one?
I mean, it's got to be
Ooh.
Peter Parker. Like,
Yeah, yes, but which version of Peter Parker?
oh, that's
Like, which
okay.
costume should we give him? Like, are we going with the Cosmic Spider? Are we going with the Venom suit Spider? Are we going with
Oh,
Spider-Man?
Venom suit, hands down.
Yeah, that'd be the black Spider-Man suit. That'd be pretty good.
Honestly,
I
if they
don't
just
know. I don't know anything about magic. I just know that the scalpers are happy. Although I will say the scalpers are a little unhappy about like Switch stocks seem to actually be doing pretty okay. Like Switch 2, so that's nice.
yeah.
I'm pretty okay with that. But no, that's great. I like seeing the crossovers going and I like that people are enjoying it. I really hope that the next Final Fantasy game takes off a little bit more than the previous ones, but like this is good. I love
Yeah, the
this.
past couple have been kind of dry, I think.
Yeah, the last one was like, did y'all just try and make Game of Thrones into Final Fantasy? Because I'll be honest, man, I'm bummed. Like the only time I was happy in that game was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have you against this giant man the size of a mountain, and we're gonna shred this guitar while you do it. And I'm like, well,
A
yeah,
throwback
let's
to-
do that. That was a good
A
fight.
throwback to
Everything-
fighting Titus's dad,
Yeah, that was fun.
Jet and
Oh,
10.
it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
The blue one looks good too.
I'm
I
gonna
like the
drop.
art.
I'm gonna drop just a couple more quick cards in the chat so you can see some of the
That's
vibes. So these are like the character
Although,
cards.
Oh,
Oh,
very
okay.
cool.
And they've got like the whatever game they are from behind them. And then this one is actually I think my favorite. Just because I like the way the art of it and the colors.
Oh, Vivi.
Oh,
I have a
Vivi,
buddy of mine who
yeah.
cosplays Vivi.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
awesome.
really like it's a really cool set. Just art like it's really cool.
Okay,
That's
favorite random question. Favorite Final Fantasy character? I'm the guest asking the question. But I'm
That's
just curious.
genuinely
Blasphemous. Get him out of here.
that is a question solely for Lucas because I've actually never played a Final Fantasy game.
Oh,
Barrett, Final Fantasy 7. I get
Oh,
him.
Barrett is awesome.
Look,
Barrett is
Barrett, he
awesome.
fights for the planet, and he's a good dad and good role
Yes.
model. Good man, yes.
I like that. I like that. The first one that comes to my mind is probably Riku from Final Fantasy X, the kind of orange-haired tinkerer mechanics girl. I think her name was Riku. Is
Oh
that
yeah, no,
correct?
I know
I
Miku.
think that's.
Oh god, no. I remember that game specifically because it's like, man, what were they called again? What was her group of people called?
Oh no. Oh, I can't remember.
Because Waku is just like the most hardcore
Yeah,
prejudiced man on the
Walk.
planet, and it's just like,
Yes,
yo, this is getting real upsetting. How prejudiced you are. Like this is like
I know.
backwoods of the South prejudice,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Yes,
Al bed.
yes,
Yeah,
he
like,
was.
these Al bed. I don't
Oh yeah,
like
the
him here. We
Albed.
can't let
That's
we can't
it.
let the out. It's
Yes.
just like, bro, chill. Like,
Just go play your underwater volleyball or
yeah,
whatever it
like
was.
no, it's he was literally the equivalent of like the sports bro who never went to class and only played football and had like the most backwards like podcast view of everything. Oh my god. Just an awful human being. But I like Riku being like, "Oh really? Well, we smell, do we? All right. Well, here's the potion that can cure everything. Go
Yeah,
away."
yeah.
Ah, good stuff. All right, we'll focus, lock in. We got actual science, but no, thank you for the
That's
cards,
right.
Chris.
Yes, I'm
Um,
always here for cards.
yeah. All right. So, Doc, before we get to talking about Pokemon and bugs, we should probably talk. How did you find your way into entomology? It's not exactly something they laud in front of you on career day back in the third grade.
No, you're right. It wasn't. It wasn't. I'm trying to change that now, admittedly, trying to get it more out there. But yeah, so I started in undergrad actually. I took a parasitology course as an undergraduate student, and there were three students in the class, and the professor was awesome. And I remember learning in that course that the number one vector of disease to humans, so the number one thing that transmit disease to humans or between humans, were insects. And so that led me into a kind of a beginner entomology courses, and I started actually working in a mosquito lab. And I worked on dog heartworm, and so I would probably everyone's favorite kind of thing to do is to kill mosquitoes. We hate mosquitoes. Anytime they land on us, we want to kill them. And as an undergrad, I actually killed them to get paid. So I would feed them, and we'd let the heartworms develop in these mosquitoes, and then I'd pull their heads off individually and put these headless mosquitoes down into this buffer where the worms would crawl out and wiggle around everywhere. Um, that was a lot of negative karma, but a lot of fun. And then yeah,
Man,
yeah,
you're
and
really
so then
selling. You're, yeah, way to really sell it to the people listening. Is like, oh yeah, man, I hate mosquito. You had them in the first half. I'm like, man, he's right. I hate mosquito. Yeah, then I took their heads off and put them in a cylinder, and like you're making them like mosquitoes more.
I know that they feel bad for him. They feel bad. But so then I finished and kind of what led me into urban entomology was I ended up getting a job for a pest management company in Raleigh, North Carolina. I worked for them for a number of years, fell in love with the field against my better judgment. I loved bed bugs, cockroaches, all those creepy crawly things, and then decided I wanted to go back to school and educate and extend and share kind of knowledge and management best practice with industry, with residents, and with folks that I get the chance to talk to, like situations like this.
All right.
And
So,
now, Lucas, when I met Chris, we were actually talking about a very specific insect that I thought was really cool, and I thought we could just touch on it a little bit because I think you'll get a kick out of it.
oh, what bug is it? What critter?
Chris, can you learn Lucas a little bit about the Asian needle ant?
Yeah, I can. So Lucas, the Asian needle ant is an invasive ant in the United States, obviously given its name. Hails from Asia, kind of Japan, China. There's a few areas it potentially comes from, but this thing has been in the United States for like the past 100 years, and it just like any other invasive species has just been spreading, and we kind of have ignored it, I think, in favor of fire ants, which are much more frustrating. They make these big mounds or whatever, but Asian needle ants have kind of been this like sleeper cell in the invasive insect world. But they have a couple really weird behaviors that I think Chris is maybe hinting at. So one of the things they do, they actively hunt and murder termites. So they love to establish colonies near termite colonies, and they will just go in and just murk all of these termites to eat, very very aggressively. They're not effective termite control, but they love to kill termites. Um, the second weird thing that they do is, you know how most ants trail back and forth, right? Have you ever seen those
Yes,
in your
yes, yes,
house?
yes.
Yeah, that's like Ant 101. Ants form trails. These ants do not. They don't lay pheromone trails when they find food. Instead, they go back and find another worker and physically pick her up and take her to the food one by one. So to use your gym bro reference, it's like if a gym bro found the perfect gym, and instead of calling his friend and telling him, he drove all the way home, lifted his friend on his shoulders, and walked him to the gym.
And that's one weird Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
It's the Planet Fitness that's worth it.
Yeah, I mean,
That's,
it's worth it. But trust me, bro. Stop fighting. Trust me, bro. It'll be
that's right.
good.
Just let me carry you. Let me carry you.
Bro, they
Is
got
there
enough machines for everyone, dumbbells of all sizes. It's good stuff. Come on.
is this just something that they didn't like evolve because they didn't need to, or like is there a reason that they don't trail?
Yeah, so admittedly, there's not a ton of research on these ants. Like in the entire body of literature, we're talking like 70 to 80 papers that we have since the beginning of the 1900s. Like there's not a lot out there. But kind of the going theory that I have heard and am aware of is that they they evolved in this resource abundant space where you didn't necessarily need to trail heavily to get enough resource to maintain the colony. Their colonies stay pretty small relative to like fire ants, for example, but they had all the food that they needed and it was readily accessible. So I suspect, like you're saying, I just suspect they didn't have pressure to evolve it.
So let me guess. They came here because we brought fancy plants and they hitched a ride?
That's exactly what we think. Yep,
Yep.
that's exactly what we think. We
So
think a lot of ants do that.
yeah, the fire ant method from South America. So I would
Yep,
imagine, like, how do you
exactly.
spread an ant who can't leave a trail quickly enough for them to the plants? Thanks
You
a
just
lot,
carry them
HOA.
here. That's exactly right.
Yeah,
That's
the
exactly
HOA,
right.
like, no, 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 you can't have native plants. We're going to import these invasive ants along with this beautiful Asian flowers. I'm like, oh,
And so they also pack a really dangerous sting. We don't have to talk about them anymore, but they also sting, and that is a major problem.
that doesn't sound great. I did want to ask when it comes to like urban entomology, most people they don't when it comes to thinking about insects, there are only really two categories. It's kill them all because they gross me out, or oh look, a bee. I like
Yes.
bees. Those are the two categories I have learned of. And the last category wasn't around until about 10 years ago. So what is it that the average urbanite gets from having these insects? Like, for example, you said you were a big fan of cockroaches. Now, I understand that mosquitoes are pollinators, but
Yes. Good for
with
you.
all these, yeah, but with things like bed bugs and cockroaches and these things that truly make our lives worse by them being
Yeah.
near us,
Yeah.
how do we balance that? How do we balance an ecosystem that is healthy enough to keep going, but also our own personal comfort and safety?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll preface this by saying that there really are two species of pest insect that essentially have evolved exclusively to be pests of humans, and they kind of fit outside of this ecological paradigm, right? They could be eliminated, and it would actually have really minimal impact on ecology, and in fact would probably be really great if they were. It'll never happen, but those are the bed bug and the German cockroach. Those two pests, which are everyone's least favorite, understandably so. I have a deep fascination and appreciation for both of them in the lab, but would not want them in my home either. And am great with killing them. But those two could essentially be obliterated, and there would really be no negative impact globally. Um, all of the other, so we'll talk about cockroaches specifically here. All of the other cockroach species that we see as pests of our home. So the most common ones are going to be smoky brown cockroaches. These are kind of larger, chocolatey colored cockroaches, and they kind of fly. Not very well, but they can fly, and people get freaked out by that. They're oftentimes the cockroach you see on your countertop or on your wall when you walk into like your bathroom or kitchen at night and turn on the light. That one cockroach alone is probably a smoky brown. Those are arboreal. They live in trees, and they live in under tree bark, and they consume dead and decaying matter, and they help with the ecosystem of recycling carbon and recycling energy in the ecosystem. And our houses are just really great places for them to move into. Same with another species that people will see a lot, is the oriental cockroach. So it again lives in the soil, breaks down detritus and decaying matter, and basically helps with this massive amount of turnover. And that's not even counting the kind of hundreds and thousands of other cockroach species around the world that are actually really cool and serve really cool purposes, but all get a really bad name because of like two or three that we don't like.
Okay, so when it comes, so if I see a cockroach in my house and I kill it with, let's not call it excessive force, but enough force to make it go away. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna torch the house down, but like, I'm gonna get a big boot. I'm gonna squish it. I shouldn't feel
Yes.
bad. Because I'm not going to, but I just want to make sure you know I shouldn't feel bad.
Yeah. You were released. You do not need to feel bad. So
Oh, thank God.
I
I
have
wasn't
it.
gonna change.
Yeah. So I have a 2-year-old or a 2.5-year-old son, and the way that we teach him is if the bug is inside, it's okay if we squish it. But if it's outside and it's living in its world, we shouldn't squish it. We should leave it alone. And so I advocate the same for these other pests as well. So yeah, if a cockroach is in your house, kill it. Throw the shoe across the room. Just don't break anything.
Okay, okay. We
I
just needed to clarify.
I'm glad my
Yeah.
general approach to like spiders, gross bugs, snakes is they have a space in the world. It is just supposed to be away from me. Uh,
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
I actually leave the spiders get to live. I like no. You eat bugs. You don't do nothing to me.
Yeah.
You stay. I
you
don't
you
care
don't
what
got to
you
be
do.
That's
near me
great.
to eat bugs. You ain't got to be near me.
So, I mean, I guess the other thing I wanted to ask is that how do you go about like trying to educate people? Like, what exactly do you do it more informally, more formally about insects and bugs, and what techniques tend to work best that let people learn about these animals without pushing them away? Because it's a hard fight. I mean, if I'm talking about dolphins and manatees, I don't have to try that hard. But if you're talking about like,
Yeah.
hey, the cockroaches aren't so bad, man, they're gonna start showing throwing shoes at you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so I do a mixture of formal and informal. And so the formal looks like maybe teaching on campus in a class during the semester with students and undergraduates. It could also look like we have a training facility here in Raleigh where we work with the pest management industry to educate and train them. But then I also informally do this through phone calls. So my information is public as a tax paid employee. You can find my office phone and work cell online at NC State's website. And I regularly take calls from residents who want to know more about these bugs. What am I dealing with? What am I looking at here? And then my other thing that I do, and this is probably my favorite thing to do, is I love going out to schools, to community events, I've gone to Boy Scout and Girl Scout camps, any place where I can get out and put some of these critters in front of, especially kids, where I'm learning and I've found out that if you start young, if you work on them as children so they're not afraid, they don't view them as this creepy. I mean, because granted, an insect is kind of creepy, right? If we look at it from a human, like we're used to two legs, two arms, we got hair, we have skin that's squishy, we have bones inside, and then you see this thing that's 6 legs, spiky, it moves fast, it's got these twitching antenna, its eyes are freaky, they're tiny, they sometimes bite or sting you, like ew, I don't want that, right? And so I find that educating and hands-on experience especially helps and is targeted towards working with kids. And that actually has a really big impact on how they perceive these things. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I even go so far as to let kids put food on a stick and feed it to cockroaches. Kind of walk them around like a little dog inside of a cage and feed them to show them, hey, nothing to be afraid of here, man. This thing isn't going to hurt you.
I love that, man. That's awesome. I think that's so important to get them in an informal setting. To me, is where I prefer to do my education. I,
Absolutely.
that was all the questions I really had. Chris, what do you got for him?
No, I am all clear, so I think we should just jump into some Pokemon.
All right, all right. So we're gonna
Let's
start
do
with the
it.
Pokemon. Yeah, we're gonna start with the one I hate the most. I'm going to go ahead and
Okay.
put him in the Discord chat. I'm gonna right there. Yeah, fix it. Fix Durant. Fix this awful Pokemon.
Well, okay, so
What? What?
Lucas, what don't you like about
Okay, so this is Durant. Durant
Yes.
is the Iron Ant Pokemon. First off, it's 72 pounds. It stands about a foot tall. It's a big bug. But
Yeah.
the thing I hate about it is that it bores me. So
Yeah.
if you go through the Pokedex entries, like the entries for all the information for all the Pokemon. Actually, you played Pokemon at least once, right?
Yeah, I have played. So I grew up on Pokemon, and kind of my Pokemon journey ended after X and Y. I went hard on X and Y, even did some competitive battling, but then after that, just fell off the
Gotcha.
bandwagon.
Gotcha. Get a Switch 2 and play Scarlet and Violet on the Switch 2. It is
That
now
is what I've
playable.
heard.
actually?
It's
Okay,
still
good,
buggy.
good,
There are bugs, so you might like it, but not as bad as the
good.
last. Yeah,
I do.
all right.
Quick diversion. So our other host Don is a competitive player. We want to
Wow.
rate your team. Do you remember what team you were using back in the X and Y days?
Um, so I remember a few of them. So I remember, so I was a troll, full stop. And so I remember I would always lead with Whimsicott. I loved my Whimsicott, and I would go like Toxic, Substitute, Leech Seed, and Protect. And so the goal is just to ramp up damage over time with Toxic, spam back and forth between Substitute and Protect to just protect Whimsicott and just troll, for essentially force them to swap out.
Yeah.
And so then I would also run Togetic with King's Rock, so essentially to paralyze lock them. And with Togetic, I think I ran a Dragonite with weakness policy, and then I don't remember what else. I remember those three, but I don't remember the rest of the team.
Dare I say you do
Uh,
qualify as a troll with those?
you disgust
Yeah.
me. It is the
I
antithesis to my style, and you sicken me. My battle strategy is if this game lasts more than 4 turns, I have failed. Big numbers. I want it gone off the screen.
yes, yes. I always loved seeing people show up in those battles with like a full team of legendaries against my little Whimsicott, and they just couldn't do anything.
That's the
So
best.
with Durant, it's boring.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna read
Yeah.
you its deck entry real quick. So this is from the first game it was in. Durant digs nests in mountains. They build their complicated, interconnected tunnels into mazes. That's it. The other one is like individuals play different roles to drive Heatmore, their natural predator, away from their colonies.
Yeah.
So Heatmore is the anteater Pokemon, so it goes after them.
Yes.
It's they're like, oh, don't, but it's also dumb because it's like, oh yeah, I know, we can protect ourselves from it. And like, you're made of bug and steel, you die.
It says they actively cover themselves in steel armor to protect themselves, and they are in fact making themselves weaker to heat more.
The reason I
That's
can't,
true.
it's bad. It's all bad. But the reason I can't stand this Pokemon so much is because it bores me. There's nothing cool. There's so many cool ants out there. I am a sucker for
Absolutely.
ants because the ants can like. Well, I'm sorry. How about the exploding ant, the fire ant, the slave maker ant, the head hunting ant, the army ant?
Yeah.
There's so many different kinds of ants out there, and we talked about it on the podcast before. So we're gonna do it again. Fix it, please.
Yeah, so ultimately, I agree with you. I think, I mean, this is kind of the most vanilla ant you could make as a Pokemon, right? They gave it some nice big mandibles, which are those little chompers in the front, and that's accurate. And thank God it at least has 6 legs. And the brownie point to them here. This is something that a lot of people don't do when they make insect-based sprites or animations. They put all 6 of its legs on its thorax, which is 100% accurate. So none of those legs should be on the abdomen. So kudos to them for anatomically putting this ant together correctly. It even has elbowed antenna, which is what ants have. That said, again, it's super boring. I mean, like you're saying, there are some really cool ants out there. Even just within the pest management kind of urban entomology, my sphere of things, you have things like the fire ant that build these massive colonies, inject highly caustic venom, have an intense alarm pheromone that causes an entire colony to swarm towards an attacker. And they're these vibrant red and brown coloration. It's beautiful. Very cool ant. Same thing with the Asian needle ant we were just talking about. These things carry one another around. They have a really weird looking body shape with this massive stinger. Yeah, I don't know that I can salvage it. Suffice to say, at least it's anatomically accurate.
There is one weird entry that I wanted to ask you about. So this is post your playing day. So this is from Pokemon Shield. It says that they work together to protect their eggs from Sandaconda. Are ants and snakes known rivals?
That's an interesting entry. No, not to my knowledge. I don't know of any overlap between ants and snakes. I mean, ants are so small, right? And an ant egg is even smaller, right? Even the biggest ant. So we actually in my lab here at NC State we have in colony the largest carpenter ant in North America, and they're big ants, but their eggs are still really small. um, so yeah, I don't know of any benefit that or any interaction that would happen between ants and snakes.
I know one, but it's in the reverse. Army ants, when they go on their purges through the rainforest, occasionally they'll come up on snakes, and if the snake is not moving fast enough, they'll just kill the snake.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Army ants are on site with everything. Anything that doesn't get out of their way is gone.
Mhm. Yeah, so I mean, I'm glad you understand that this thing needs fixing. In the old days, I thought, well, what if they gave it different forms? Like this is a worker, but they gave it a buffer. Then there's a buff warrior, and then there's a queen, and then there's like
That would
male
actually
one
be
with
pretty cool.
yeah. That they keep it. If you're gonna do it that way, then just put a couple of new forms out there and have them all work together in a colony or something. But it's just so boring. I hate it.
It's
It is.
prime. It is prime for a regional
Yes.
variant.
I will
It
say,
is.
this isn't this Pokemon's fault either, but that basketball player shares the same name, and I don't know how much he
Yeah.
knows about it.
Yeah.
But he
He
also
does.
has
Ca-
he's the Durantula.
Is that
Oh,
the
I've not
name
heard
that?
that.
Yeah, that's his nickname. So he's got a couple of nicknames. There's the Slim Reaper, the Durantula. Kevin Durant's got some great nicknames. But yeah, Durantula was a big one because he got his I think his wingspan is like 7'6". It's stupid.
Okay.
That's
Oh, hear
insane.
me out. Okay, I just googled this for fun. Googled Kevin Durant Pokemon. Look what came up.
He signed
No,
it?
Yeah, he signed a
That's
Durant card.
incredible.
that's awesome.
Let's
That's
go.
incredible.
Let's go, baby. Okay.
The merging of realities.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about in the last episode of like we're just going to go and grab like if we have to go there, we're just going to grab like the size of basketball players. Find a Pokemon that correlates and just give it to them. Here you go. Take that.
There was one, I think
So-
it was Charizard is the same size as like Muggsy Bogues.
Yeah. So like here you go. Here we go find him and track him down.
See, like, so this Pokemon card in this image, I saw this earlier, and this is one of the things I think they could have done with Durant that would have made it cooler, is kind of the Diglett vibe, or not Diglett, excuse me, Doug Trio, where you would have multiple of them together as this like amalgam organism, right? Because that's how ants work. They're this super organism. There isn't really an ant that acts by itself. They might do some exploration, but they always fall back to other ants. And so I had seen this card and was thinking, oh man, that would be cool if they had come out with a way to make it, this amalgamated Pokemon.
What's infuriating is they kind of already did that, but they did it with the Roman Legion Pokemon Phalanx.
Oh,
They
you're
also
right.
they also did it
Wow.
with Wishy Washy, Lucas.
Yeah, where it's like schooling fish. So it can be done.
It can't they so
Can be done.
it's in game. We just got to shift him towards Durant.
That's right. That's right.
All right. The next one I wanted to talk about. Most people don't realize that I'm pretty sure this is based on an ant as well. This might have been around your time. Its name is Sewaddle. This
Yeah.
little goober.
Yeah. It's so cute.
Yeah, it's got a little butt forehead, but it's got cute little eyes. And then its evolutionary line is pretty solid as well. But the thing that really makes it so interesting is that apparently it sews and makes its own clothing. Um, in the
Yes.
Dex entry, it talks about how it will use leaves and sticky thread to produce clothes and wear them. And that's a thing, right? I know bagworms exist, but like, is this a thing for something else?
Yeah, so there are certainly other Pokemon that are modeled after the bagworm. Fortress is, or not Fortress, Pineco, is that right? Pineco is one.
Franco's one, yeah.
And then there's also Madam, no, like there's another one. Anyway, I don't remember the names. You can tell I'm out of practice with my Pokemon.
Wormadam is
But
Wormadam.
bird
Yeah.
Wormadam,
Birdmane,
there it is.
Wormadam, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And so, but with these, so Sewaddle, I do remember Sewaddle, and ultimately, what I think it's modeled after is actually a caterpillar. So there are these, but it breaks down when you get to the third evolution. I don't know what they were doing there, but there are caterpillars who do this, who will clothe their bodies protectively, and it could be, and there are other insects as well, not just caterpillars. Where they will clothe their body in leaves, twigs, sticks, other dead insects and things as protection. And so, this is a kind of common thing across the insect world. There's even one, I think it's, I'm trying to remember the insect. Off the top of my head, stoneflies, I think. Stonefly larvae that live in streams will form kind of protective homes around their body made out of pebbles, and the presence of them is actually a sign that the stream is really healthy.
Oh, they're an indicator species.
Yeah, they are. They are. It's quite cool. It's quite cool. Now, in this example, I have no idea what happened with that third evolution, because caterpillars become pupa, which that looks like a pupa, become butterflies or moths. This final evolution looks a lot more like a praying mantis to me, which is really not, it doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah,
I say
Leavanny.
I get praying mantis vibes, and I get leaf cutter ant vibes.
Yes, I see the leafcutter ant vibes as well, especially with those crescent cutouts on the leaves.
Yeah, with Lee Valley, Lee Vanny, it's really interesting as well because instead of making clothes for itself, it makes clothes for other Pokemon and itself. So in the game, it talks about how, oh yeah, this is a favorite of fashion designers because it just makes clothes, and I'm like, I mean, Slay Queen, pop off, but like,
Yeah.
still.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's a strange. Yeah. It really is taking something that we see in the insect world and taking it to its most fantastical kind of outcome. Of we have these insects that make these clothes or equivalent to clothes around themselves. Let's see how far we can drag this out into this kind of fantastic world.
It also uses fermenting leaves to wrap its eggs to keep them warm.
That's smart. A lot of organisms will
That's
actually do
cool.
that sort of thing too.
Yeah.
That's cool.
This Pokemon seems fine. It doesn't need a touch-up, right? Swaddle's a perfect little guy. No changes needed. What would you
No,
thinking?
I was just gonna say, I think the third form needs a change. I mean, it does so, right? As an entomologist, it doesn't make sense that a caterpillar becomes essentially a pupa, becomes a praying mantis. That's really not how it works. So I think they could have done something. Um, yeah, I think they could easily have done a more humanoid moth or butterfly Pokemon, right? As opposed to an more insectoid Pokemon.
It's the
Gotcha.
Oshawott of the Pokebugs.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Otter, giant seal. It's like, hang on now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, wait a second.
I will say, so Waddle has one of the honors of being one of the Pokemon that got 0 likes in that poll, right?
Oh my God, you're right. There was like a big thing. What was it? Was it the
It was
international one? Or
they did a big poll, Doc, about and basically they wanted to show that every Pokemon is someone's favorite Pokemon, and there was like 5 that didn't get a single vote.
Are you serious? And it was
Yeah,
of every Pokemon out there?
Yes.
At the time, yes.
At the time. Yeah, I think it was during the Sun and Moon era. But yeah, Sewaddle didn't get a single vote.
Oh, little
Poor thing.
dude.
It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
cute.
he didn't deserve that. It's funny you should mention like, yeah, it needs to turn into a butterfly because Chris mentioned you might enjoy some X and Y, so I brought you the only new bugs they really introduced: Scatterbug, Spupa, and Vivillon. Incidentally, do you know what Vivillon's first claim to fame was before we even knew anything about it?
I don't.
You know its Dex number,
420.
666.
Oh, 666.
So
The
the
That's a
devil
same
good
one.
way
one. Okay.
Yeah, so the same way people were wondering what will Pokemon number 1000 be? And it's a golden dude that surfs. I'm not joking.
Oh
Vivillon
God.
was the mark of the beast Pokemon effectively. So there were a lot of jokes about
Okay.
that. But I wanted
I
to
see it
talk
in the
more about
eyes.
yeah. It's the Scatterbug and the Pupa and Spupa that weird me out because in the Dex entry it talks about how both of them will spew black toxic powders at predators. And I know
Mm.
caterpillars have defenses. You've got spikes and toxins and sticky things and camouflage and what look like eyes and looking like a snake and looking like an ant queen. Or they have a million of them. I've never heard of them using aerial-based spores of death.
Yeah, so I actually don't know of any caterpillars that spray spores. There certainly could be one out there that I'm not aware of. When you talk about insects spraying things, the one that comes to mind immediately is the bombardier beetle. Have you guys heard of that one?
Oh
He's
yeah.
come up a lot. Anytime we talk about
Yeah.
that bug shoots stuff, bring out the bug that farts.
That's right. That's right. It farts acid, and so yeah. Now that being said, there's so many caterpillars out there. I mean, so many of them that there very well could be one that engages in some form of kind of volatile, discharge form of defense. I wouldn't put it past me or put it past them. Actually, caterpillars have it rough, man. They have it rough. I was working from home last week, and I didn't even notice it, the poor thing, but from out of right field, a cardinal flew, dove straight into the ground, and there was a caterpillar that I couldn't even see. But somehow this cardinal from the middle of nowhere saw it, and I mean, direct hit, it was gone. So they need all the help they can get. I was gonna say, Spupa does remind me of a urban pest that we see a lot, and they're what we call the case-making clothes moths, and they will get into fabrics. They're considered a fabric pest, but they actually build. So it kind of is this basically this natural transition from scatterbug into spupa, where the naked larva of these case-making clothes moths will incorporate fibers of whatever they're in and eating into a protective shell, like you see on Spupa, and they'll incorporate in their frass as well, and other things that might give them some form of protection or kind of hide them or blend them into their environment before they emerge as a moth, and then continue on their life cycle. So that's what I was gonna say. That's what he reminds me of there. But go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that with Vivalion, the thing that really made it stand out was that you could find them in all kinds of different colors. There are technically like 20 different patterns you can find them in,
Yeah.
and they're all the same species. So my question to you is gonna be: is there like a one species of butterfly, or anything in Lepidoptery that is like, yeah, this is like this is one that just has a million different formations to it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, to my knowledge, no. The ones that we are most familiar with that have a change in them, and again, I could be wrong on this, but oftentimes what we see is sexual dimorphism, and so we'll see, which is essentially where the girl butterflies and the boy butterflies look very different, and they can sometimes be drastically different. So, a great example of that is the eastern, I think it's called the eastern tiger swallowtail butterfly. And in that one, I believe the females are yellow with black stripes, whereas the males are blue and black. And so they have this really drastic sexual dimorphism that occurs. Now, there is something that can happen, and maybe this is where they were taking it from, where there are butterflies that mimic other butterflies for protection. And so you can get these butterflies that look very, very, very similar to one another in shape, but are technically a different species. And sometimes we actually, and this happens with other insects as well, it takes us a long time to realize they're different species, or even they're close enough that we actually call them, we term it what's called a species complex, where we're kind of drawing these lines, but actually our human drawn lines in nature might be kind of arbitrary. We're not sure. And so that does happen as well.
I do want to point out we do need to make a slight correction. Sewaddle was not one of the Pokemon who got 0 votes. I
Oh,
found the we were close. It was another bug. Here are the 5 that did not.
okay.
Silcoon, Gothlet,
So tune.
Eeltraws, and Yangoose, and the Yangoose line. Nobody liked them.
Okay. So I
They
got my
are
bugs wrong.
a little interesting.
Yeah, the yeah, yeah.
Also, I did look up because Chris said it. I looked up. Do you know what Pokemon 420 is?
Oh boy.
Oh no. What is it?
Cherubi.
Oh, okay.
Really?
That explains some tattoos.
Yep.
I love that. I love
Okay.
that.
Like
Oh
Japan did.
man.
Honestly, having lived there, I can tell you right now, they do not care for any kind of representation of marijuana as a plant, medicine, or whatever. So, like, the fact that they were just like, ignore it. No jokes. Ignore it. Yeah, all right. So, there was one other Pokemon we kind of needed to talk about just a touch because you
Okay.
mentioned it earlier. The same way I need you to fix Durant. Explain this. I don't know what to do with
I
Forretress. Like, literally, I understand the idea. It's like, yeah, it's a gun bug. It
yeah,
fires
yeah.
pain.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know if it's redeemable, right? You know, Pineco is a really cool Pokemon. It actually kind of captures the bagworm really, really well. And to be fair, in my opinion, there's so much variation in the way bagworms build things and how they look. They could have easily made a second evolution that kept that same theme. But they took it a little weird, and I have no idea why. There certainly is not a Pokemon or an actual insect that this thing is reminiscent of. Yeah, I would say in my mind it should be like rock steel. I don't see any reason why this should be a bug type Pokemon.
It gets weirder. Okay, this was from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Here's their Pokedex entry. Ahem. Fortress conceals itself inside its hard to steel shell. The shell is open when the Pokemon is catching prey, but it does so at such a quick pace the shell's insides cannot be seen. So it's a predator. Like it literally, instead of like sitting there sucking on tree sap or whatever, it's waiting for something, shooting it, and then grabbing it so fast you can't see it. Even though its
So no
speed
one knows.
is 40.
It's got that D. It's got that D line speed.
It's got that no speed. This thing
That
is
that
like a prime candidate for trick rooming.
it's got that 5 yard burst.
It got that gator speed.
That's right. That sprint.
Got that 6 second sprint, and then we're done. Good God.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, no, you can't fix this. This is nothing. I mean, we can't do anything.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't even have legs. I mean, Durant's better, right? Durant at least has anatomy. I mean, this thing, yeah, yeah, it really doesn't have anything going for it.
Yeah, Chris, you bring such blasphemers to this show. Why do
It's
you bring such?
they were like we'll give a bug guns and call it a day.
Hey, you know what? At least
Yeah,
Fortress got votes.
That's true.
that's right. That's right.
I
Suck
I
it,
I will say
Silcoon.
I do like I appreciate Fortress as it is, even if it is not like real world bug appropriate. I still think it looks cool. Like it's got good
Oh,
vibes.
totally.
Especially in Pokemon like Stadium 2, where it was spinning around and shooting. Those are cool. Fun times. Now, admittedly, we don't there's one thing we kind of wanted your help on. There really isn't too many of what you'd call a blood sucking Pokemon. These
Oh
There
no.
aren't any bed bugs. The closest I could find to a blood-sucking creature is
I know which one you're
Buzzswole.
gonna show, I think.
Yeah, look at
Yeah.
this dude.
Oh
Look at
yeah. Oh
him.
yeah.
Sweet greens.
Buzzswole Buzzswole hurts. He hurts.
He hurt.
That's
He
your
look.
that's
He
your karma.
look at
That's
him. He's beautiful.
it. Well, so there's a few things about Buzzwole that are hard to reconcile, but he is a very cool Pokemon, obviously fashioned after a mosquito,
He does
is
have
what they were
six
going for
legs.
here.
He does
Yeah,
have
he
six
does
legs.
have well, yeah, he does have six legs. Now, I have to rip the curtain away for a minute. So my downside with Buzzwole is male mosquitoes do not drink blood. Only female mosquitoes drink blood.
This is
And
true.
so that is kind of the L with him. The only thing he's drinking is sugar water. So all he's getting is straight carbs, and you cannot build a body like that on carbs without doping. So
What
he's
if we're
for
being
sure on
prejudiced in
something.
this? What if we're being prejudiced and this is just a female?
I mean, it could be. It totally could be.
Yeah, all
Like,
the ones that are coming through are just female. Or just the males are just like some shrimpy little dude feeding on like porridge. Like you get them, honey.
I really just hate that it's called the swollen Pokemon.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I want it on a gym shirt. Okay, but the real question is, can you add another bloodsucker to the game? Is there one specific one that, like, man, this horrid nightmare would be perfect in the game for children?
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think hands down, well, maybe not hands down. There are a couple options, right? I think you could go with something that really would make people uneasy, but would be really memorable, and so that would be some type of bed bug type Pokemon, where the Pokédex entry says that it parasitizes some other Pokemon or parasitizes some human, and they're found within dwellings, or maybe Poke Centers get infested with them or something. So some type of bed bug type Pokemon would be really cool. Honestly, it would be a really cool kind of bug fairy type, maybe. That I think could be really interesting, just because they're hard to see, kind of like they're a little ethereal because you don't always know where they are, and I think that might capture bed bugs really well. The other really good opportunity for that, and they kind of mess it up because they came out with Joltik, and Joltik is kind of a tick, kind of. It's like a larval tick, which ticks are weird. But it'd be really easy, I think, to put in a tick Pokemon as well. There's a lot of opportunity there.
With the bedbug Pokemon, um, aren't bedbugs immune to a lot of like pesticides and whatnot these days?
They're super resistant to a lot of stuff.
So hear me out. A bug fairy whose ability is to just absorb poison attacks. Doesn't matter. Just
Like
Yeah,
absorbs them.
Storm Drain for poison.
Yeah, storm drain, but for poison.
I love that. I love that.
It's just like, yeah,
That
keep
would
it
be
up. You're
awesome.
making me stronger, idiots. Come on.
That would be
Jol-
really cool. That would be on the nose.
Joltik is also one of those fun ones where it's like, I'm a tick. Guess what? I'm a spider.
That's right. Yeah.
Have y'all seen the Joltik bag that went on sale? Like in
No.
Japan. It's one of my favorite things because, all right, check it out. So here's the bag itself.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh.
And the best part is the bag actually fits inside the Joltik like a web.
That's incredible.
It's for like groceries or a few bags of stuff. Like it's a small little purse you could just carry around.
That's
It's
awesome.
great.
I love
And I
that.
could think I can get it. Yeah, no, it's only $110 on eBay because
I, fa- I
scalpers.
I found it for $88. I'm better.
Ooh, you found it for the price of a modern day video game. Good for you.
That's right. Borderlands
Hey,
4.
we got 70 on that one. We got 70. You're gonna be
Look,
okay.
I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
If we could just have Randy Pitchford shut the hell up, we'll
I
be
know.
okay.
I know.
Just shut up,
He just
Randy.
needs to stop.
The message of the episode: shut up, Randy. It can be all the bug stuff you want, but if you've made it this far in the episode, it is shut up, Randy. Let me enjoy my games. That's
right.
really all the bug stuff I've had to ask about. Doc, it's been a pleasure getting to know you, man. Thank you so much for coming on the episode. I have one last question for you. If people
Yeah.
want to know more about the work you do, where should they go, and how can they reach out?
Awesome. Well, hey, it has been an honor to be here. I love it, and I'm looking forward to listening more and maybe coming back someday. Who knows? Maybe Doc will make a comeback, a return when the full
There's a lot
cast
of
is here
bugs.
too.
We'll probably pull you
Oh,
back.
there's a lot of bugs. Yeah, I'd be honored. So if folks want to find me, they can find me at NC State University on the website. You can look up Dr. Christopher C. Hayes, NCSU, on Google, and you will find me. If you are in kind of my area, so North Carolina is really my primary folks, feel free to reach out to me. My email is cchayes@ncsu.edu, and you're welcome to reach out anytime. I'm always here to help and always here to chat.
Awesome. Again, Chris, thank you so much for bringing him here. This guy's been an absolute delight. This is awesome. I
I
wish
knew
John was here to enjoy this, but it's just been so cool. Chris, other Chris, thank you so much for being here. For those who listen, have a wonderful rest of your day or night. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye, everybody.